my squat depth has been something that I wanted to seriously work on for a while now. But more recently, after getting feedback on Reddit and some Discord like gym channels, um, I have decided to lower my squat depth forever. Right? It's better to squat low low than low high. It's also more convincing, right? So I've been working on it, but I haven't been able to do low bar squat, like a proper low bar squat, no pause, um, since I got that feedback. All right. So uh, I hit 425 with acceptable depth, right? I think right at parallel, maybe a little higher than that. On my birthday, April 22nd, right? And it's April 27th. So 5 days later, I hit 430 with a much better depth, right? I would say an inch, 2 inches deeper. Going into this workout, I was a bit iffy on trying anything more than like 400 because my left knee was feeling a bit wonky like last time I did 425, right? And I took a day off yesterday, but usually when I take a day off, the next day my squats feel heavier than usual, even though it's just one day of rest. And today things did feel heavier than usual, right? I unracked 315 and that felt heavier than usual. But like the weight felt heavier, right? And I went deeper, so the rep is a little slower. That's normal, but the weight felt heavier on my back, right? But I did 400 pounds, and it was a bit of a grind, but I saw 425 or 430 there. And then I contemplated for a while on whether or not to do 425 or 430, and I ended up doing 430. And as you can see that my depth in these warm-up sets, especially, right, going up to the heavier weights are deeper, right? And this angle shows that. And 430, I also hit the same depth, right? I think it's slightly below parallel. Right? I think this is the depth that I'm going to go for. I don't think it's necessary to go any lower, but if I get feedback that I need to go a bit lower, I will. I'm not going to compete in powerlifting, but I think this depth is borderline acceptable for powerlifting. If not, and I do decide to compete squat, I will go as low as I need to, right? I did compete in a meet last August, but it was bench only. I was gonna do deadlift only, but I injured my left adductor doing Bulgarian split squats and sumo deadlift. So I did bench only. But if I were to squat right in a meet, I'll make sure that I go deep enough. But I think this depth is I'm much happier with it. And it's weird that the squat does feel longer. Feels like it takes longer, right? And kind of when I go past, the depth that I usually go, so the extra 2 inches, it feels like uncharted territory, right? Feels like that I am scared I might get stuck. But what I actually realize is I have no trouble getting past out of the hole. It's just like at like halfway is where I get my sticking point. And it's more evident when you see the 400 pounds and the 430. So I'll let you guys watch the 2 sets and we'll talk after. So that 430-pound attempt and mostly that, but the 400-pound set before that, I felt my lower back a lot, right? And I'm still feeling it at the time of my recording. So I'm going to take it easy for probably the next 4 to 6 days. and then I have to go to San Francisco for work on Tuesday, so I'll take that day off, and I might take Friday off, but I'll probably work out every day until Tuesday, but keeping it light, right? Recovery is going to be important in the next week, especially because I could have strained my lower back doing that 430, and I did deadlifts after a bench day, right? And I did conventional deadlifts. But let's talk about bench first. So, just after seeing these videos, the bench grip is pretty wide, but I'm more used to benching at home. So, the hand placement I think could be a little different. Doing it in this gym versus home gym, I think I'm going wider than I go at home. So maybe I need to go a bit narrower, right? Because off the chest, it's a bit harder with this wider grip, right? I feel like I have less control, less power out of the hole or off my chest, but maybe it's just because it's feet up, pause bench, right? Because I know when I do feet up, especially pause, off the chest is harder because you have to rely on your chest more rather than your leg drive, right? But yeah, I worked up to 275, and that was RP 10. Pretty good weight, so I'm not disappointed with it. And then I didn't do the back offsets for low bar because I went for a super heavy attempt, lifetime PR. I'm hitting lifetime PRs over and over, which is great. But then did 2 back offsets for bench 240, 2x3 RP 9. It's a little on the high side, maybe 8.5, but I'm gonna say 9. But yeah, after bench I did some deadlifts, and I'll end the commentary soon, so you guys maybe can, if you want to watch the deadlift sets at the end. But last time, I think over a week ago, like 10 days ago, I did 480 deadlift. That was a lifetime PR, conventional stiff bar. Today I did 455, and that was RP 10. I was done. Partially because of the squat earlier, for sure, right? But I was gonna do sumo deadlift, but warming up to it, like I switched between sumo. I did sumo first for 135, and then I did conventional. I watched my first couple warm-up sets where I did sumo and conventional, and sumo looks slower, right? One sumo looks slower. I think it's just off the floor, it's slower, but overall it looks slower. Like conventional for me, I can be more explosive, right? And also is less comfortable, right? And as third point, it's the back angle. It's not that much different for me with sumo and conventional. They're honestly about the same. Sumo is a bit more upright. I have short arms, so it's kind of hard to keep a more of an upright stance on sumo. So I end up using, basically, it feels like as much lower back as conventional, maybe a little less, but I chose to do conventional instead. I just wasn't feeling sumo at the moment, and my main focus is conventional, right? And I think for the same amount of time I can do conventional and get more out of it versus sumo. Granted, my conventional takes more time to recover than sumo, so maybe I should have done sumo, but I think it's fine. I just think I can be more explosive with conventional. Granted, the lockout is harder when the weight gets heavier, but you can also notice that I have some backgrounding, and I think that's just something that I have been dealing with, and I'm gonna be dealing with, right, with conventional. With sumo, I have less backgrounding, but to me, it's not really a big problem, right? I have short arms and long torso, so I'm gonna have to deal with some backgrounding. I feel like maybe when I do the 425 and the 455, it's a bit excessive. But I'm not gonna put too much work on it, exact work on it, because I've been working on it for the past 3 years, and it never got better. The only way that my back rounding got better on conventional and sumo is I got stronger. So before I rounded at 300 pounds, now I round at 400 pounds and more, right? So getting stronger makes me round at a higher weight. The threshold of my back rounding gets higher, which is kind of my goal, right? But yeah, I'm kind of talking through this entire video, but very happy that I hit 430. I kind of answered the doubts and the observation that I'm not squatting low enough on squat, right? And I squatted lower today, and my deadlift, it's gonna be a grinder here. But yeah, I'm gonna end the commentary here, and thank you all for watching. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate all the support. Peace.